Okay, perfect. So, this is going to be one of the most important videos ever. This is how to use AI, but this is not in the way most people, most nerds talk about how to use AI. You see, you can imagine there's a guy like this, big long head, skinny arms, and he's talking about how he bought, I don't know, 4 Mac Minis. He wasted like $50,000 in all of this, and he's using it for his OpenClaw bot. And this, for most people, is just overcomplicated and useless. And it's also annoying. Like, you don't want to have a bot that's working all day writing bullshit in AI slop. This is not how most people should use AI. So, what we're going to talk about today is how to use AI as a normal person and how it works on your daily life. And I'm going to tell you how I use it personally and what works for me. So, first, I'm not going to waste your time. The first way to use AI, really important, how to count, wait a second, your calories and macros. If you're not into making exercises, you can skip to number 2. But if you are, this is really important because if you can remember, like you used to need to enter the internet and then search like calorie counter, and then you would get information about how much calories you burn, but it's really complicated to get to the exact number. And most of the time, like you would need to enter your height, your weight, and also how much activity you do daily. But it's such a confusing way of doing it. Like you need to tell if you make or if you do low amounts of exercises or medium amount of exercise, and that doesn't mean anything. So nowadays you have AI and you can actually write in here like, tell me how many calories I should eat daily if I want to lose fat. Lose fat and keep my muscle mass. This is really important. Mass. And now you just give the AI information about yourself. So I weigh 80 kilograms and I am 6 feet tall. And now you can also tell the AI how much exercise you actually do. So this is really different because if you do 4 times a week cardio, or if you go to the gym 4 times a week, you're going to be burning more calories in one case than in the other. So I go running for 30 minutes 4 times a week. Give me also my macros. And now you just send it, and you should be able to get a great response with this. So let's wait for it. Now, this works a lot because it's really fast. If you compare it to how it was before, that you need to, okay, male, and then age. So you can see it takes it very seriously. Very active, like 7 feet something, lightly active. I don't know why it's asking me all of that. Normally it goes straightforward. So yeah, I'm going to cut it if this takes too long. Here's the breakdown. Okay, perfect. So, blah blah blah. 2,830 calories per day. And it also it's telling me my macros. So this is great because now you know, and this is much more precise than the online calorie calculators. And what's even better, like you can write, for example, let's say you were eating today and you want to know how much you ate. So I ate 400 grams of chicken breast and 200 grams of cooked rice plus some salad. It had a tablespoon of olive oil. Now this is like a normal meal, but like it used to be like you had to enter all of this into MyFitnessPal, and it took ages. You can just hit enter here, and then it's going to think for you, and you're going to get a table that tells you how much you have eaten and your macros. And what's even better, I'm going to show next, is that once you have the information, so let's say we have already eaten 1,000 calories, or for today. Okay, perfect. So we have eaten 1,230 calories. Now, let's say we still want to eat more. Our goal was 2,800, but we don't know what to eat because we want to keep the macros. So we can ask the AI actually, like, okay, please tell me how to fit my calorie and macros goal. Calories and macros goal if I only have, let's say you only have in your kitchen eggs and bread, and what else, maybe tuna, something like that. Okay, so it's going to tell you like you need to eat this amount of this and you're going to get to your goals. So this is the easiest way to make it by far. But it takes a lot of time. I don't know why. Maybe because it's like on Medium and it's on it. Gemini is faster. ChatGPT is also faster. So maybe for calories and something like this, like don't use Claude. Good news, you already know your protein for the day, so carbs and fat using these 3 foods. Okay. Okay, Claude is really try hard with this. I would say like use Gemini because this takes way too long. That's meaningful carbs. Okay, so because I gave the AI like such limited options, you can see we only have bread, tuna, and eggs to eat, but it worked. So you need to eat 5 slices of bread plus 100 grams of tuna and 1 egg, and also 5 slices of bread and then 4 more slices of bread. So this is awful, but if you have realistic like food, if you're not inventing it like I'm doing it right now, you're going to get really good ideas, and you will be able to fit your macros, which is more important than anything, and you don't need to think about it, so you can just go about it. It's like if you had a personal chef. So the second way on how to use AI that is really useful, and you can use it every day actually, is study. So how do you study using AI? This is not that simple as it sounds, but you can do it and it's going to work perfectly. So just for you to know, there are sciences and like scientific studies that talk about how to study properly, and one of the best ways to do it is to receive the same information in 5 different ways. So let's say you are memorizing words for your Spanish or English class and you need to learn them all. So I'm going to tell Claude, give me a list of 5 random English words. You can do this with obviously like every topic. You don't need to be only learning Spanish or English. You can use this with science or something. So now you can tell Claude, use these words in a poem. No, so first I would say like write the definition of each word and a sentence. So this would be like your first approach. You have the definition, lantern, portable light source, and then she lit the lantern and hung it outside the cabin to guide her way back in the dark. So now you have one of these for each one. Now let's be a little bit creative about this. So let's say write a fictional short story about Gandalf and use these 5 words in it. Now you're going to get in another form, like these 5 words here, you will be able to use them in another context. So you will be able to understand what they mean much more deeply, and you'll be able to memorize it properly. And this is not only useful if you're trying to use it for vocabulary, you can also use it for history. So now we have this approach here. What else could we write about? Let's say now use these same 5 words, but make a quiz. This is a really good one. Make a quiz in which I get 4 options for meaning of the word, and I need to choose the right one. So now you're thinking about it in a different way, and now you're going to be able to practice it not only like with your first your definitions, then your story. Now you also have your quiz. After this, like this is really a really simple subject. You should be able to understand it like easily. But if you're studying something harder, like history, for example, let's say you're trying to learn about World War II, and you need to know the insights about it. So maybe you could tell the AI, write me a 500-word essay on World War II, but write it from Churchill's POV. That's much more interesting, and it's easier to memorize. So this is a great way of getting good grades. Now, also to study, when it comes to math subjects, I'm also going to tell how to do it because it's different. It's not the same, but it also works, and you'll be able to do it perfectly. So first, let it think. It's going to write about it. Blah blah blah. Okay, I'm going to skip straight. So as you can see, a remembered reflections. Okay, a war remembered reflections on the Second World War, an imagined first-person perspective inspired by Winston Churchill. So you're going to get all of like the same story basically, but it comes from Churchill's perspective. So you'll be able to understand it much better. And you can do this with many characters, or you can even tell some weird shit like, oh, write World War II, but as if it were an anime or something like that, and it's going to be really exaggerated, but you will be able to remember it better. So now, let's say you want to study math. This is how things change here. If you want to study math, you need to be very specific on how you yourself are going to practice, because that's what matters the most. You need to be able to do the exercises. So let's say, write me a random math trigonometry problem. Now, you are going to have your own problems and your own like files that the university or school gives you. So you can see a surveyor stands 50 meters from the base of a tall building, looking up to the top of the building. The angle of elevation is 38 degrees. Looking up to the top of the flagpole mounted on the roof, the angle of elevation is 42 degrees. So let's say you have this problem on your textbook. Now you tell the AI, solve it, but guide me step through step. This is the first thing you should do, because you'll be able to understand the logic in solving these problems. And the AI is going to tell you like, oh, you need to do this first and you need to do this second, and then you get the answer. This is perfect. Draw the picture mentally or on paper. That's a good idea. Set up the ratio, and it's going to tell you what's the ratio, and then find the total height. So you get to it. And this is where you learn. So you tell the AI, perfect. Now write another problem like this one, but change the numbers so that I can practice myself. And this is when you learn actually. And when you do this, like this obviously takes repetition, but if you do this enough, you'll be able to understand any problem. So you get a surveyor stand 65 meters from the base of a lighthouse, and it's the same thing, like you have the angle of elevation, and then you have, now it's not a flagpole, it's an antenna, and then the angle of elevation and blah blah blah. But now you know the process, now you know how to think about this problem, you just have to solve it yourself, and essentially you are learning much faster. Now, I'm going to be honest, these are my two main use cases in my daily life, and they work amazingly. So I've been able to get much better results on the gym using this, and also much better results with my grades using this. But this third one it's not that common, but it's really helpful. So when you want to sign a contract or some legal paper, like it or not, most people, unless we go to law school, we are not literate with these words, and we are going to be like possible victims of some stupid bullshit that we don't know on these papers. So if you at any time in your life need to sign a contract and you don't have access to an immediate lawyer at that moment, you can always put this paper on the AI, and the AI is going to analyze it for you, and you can be smart about it. You can tell the AI like, okay, but make a summary of this contract, but first highlight the key points of it, and now you're going to have like a brief idea of how that contract works. And you can also ask like, oh yeah, and explain this contract to me as if I were a 5-year-old, and tell me where I could make my the biggest mistake here. So, and the AI is going to tell you. So this is just like some simple advice you should have in mind, because it comes in handy, and it has also like been useful for me. So that's all. I'm going to make more videos about AI. Now it's not going to be like something like this. I think I'm going to make videos on more like understanding how AI works and how to prompt it correctly, but not in this like a nerd complicated way where people talk about like, I don't know, cloud code or stupid stuff like that. It's going to be easy to understand. So that's my main goal here. So thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.